Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Speedbreaker, and today I would like to discuss the latest patch to the CTE aka Community Test Environment client. Now, if you haven't been following the CTE all that much, or really if you've just been fed up with all the enormous patches every couple of days, like I'm talking about those 10 GB patches, those gigantic ones, well then I have actually some very good news for you. Now, with the patch from 3 days ago, they have finally overcome the issue of those gigantic patches. However, in case you simply haven't updated your client yet, you're going to need to uninstall the CTE client first. This is very important. Instead of just updating your client, you have to uninstall the client first and then apply the updates. Now, in case you do have a slow internet connection, you're not going to be too happy about this update. It's going to be 38 GB of size. However, on the other hand, you'll get all of the expansion packs with this update, and further updates like the one from today will actually only be a couple of 100 megabytes of size. So if you haven't played on the CTE servers for quite some time, or if you simply uninstalled because of all these really big updates, then I think now is finally time to jump back into the CTE and see what it's like, because a lot has changed. Now, with today's patch, DICE addressed an abundance of issues in the game, as well as improved major gameplay mechanics. Now first, let's have a look at the new and improved visual recoil system. Now, when this was first announced on the CTE forums, I wasn't quite sure what the purpose of these features was, and since the first implementation was rather flawed, I didn't really give it too much attention. However, that now almost all guns and optics have actually been fixed to work with the new visual recoil system, I have to say that the result is actually quite brilliant. Now, the problem with the way that vanilla BF4 handled recoil and optics was that the recoil animation of the gun itself was basically pretty much over-exaggerated, and the actual recoil, like meaning where the bullets actually landed, was somewhere completely else compared to the point where your sight actually pointed at. On the CTE, they have stepped up and finally fixed this issue by redoing all reticles for all weapons/optics combos. Now, the results of these efforts can be seen on screen right now. To the left, we can see how the recoil in the CTE looks when aiming down sights, whereas on the right we can see how the same weapon optic combo reacts while shooting in vanilla BF4. Now, it's important to understand that the sight, as it is in CTE as of right now, actually points exactly where your bullets land, whereas in vanilla BF4 the sight just represents the animation of the gun and not the actual recoil that is acting on the bullets. This difference actually seems very striking to me, and with this feature it's going to be so much easier to shoot at a target, since your reticle is actually pointing where the bullets will land rather than just at some random point. Now, a lot of people have argued that this feature basically implements parallax-free sights. However, this is only correct to a certain extent. Now let me explain. As I've mentioned before, the recoil shown in the sights, as they're currently in vanilla BF4, shows an exaggerated version of the actual recoil. Now, instead of redoing all the weapons recoil animations individually, DICE decided to simply change the way that the reticle actually reacts to the weapon's recoil. Now, on the other hand, what people meant with parallax-free sights only describes how sights such as a holographic or coyote sight behave in real life. The reticle of those sights actually appear to be literally behind the gun, rather than on the lens of the sight. Therefore, when one looks through the gun and changes its viewport, basically like puts the gun up and down, the reticle will always appear on the same spot, no matter how you look through its sight. Now, this is pretty hard to explain with words, so I'll just leave a link to a video with a parallax-free sight in the description below so you can go and check it out. Now, the problem here is that sights such as the ACOG or the PKAS sights are definitely not parallax-free in real life. Those scopes have lines on the lens, and they are in the scope. They don't appear to be behind the scope, whereas a red dot sight or a holographic sight, as already mentioned, kind of appear behind the scope in real life, that is. However, of course, the ACOG and PKAS also suffered from the exaggerated weapons recoil animation. Therefore, in the CTE client, they also received the update to actually mimic the true bullet recoil, meaning that the bullets will land where you point. Alright, so now that we've gone through all these technical changes, let's talk about some more obvious changes. Now, DICE continued to clean up the HUD and allow the player to change even more aspects of the HUD. We can now define the size of the minimap, scale icons on said minimap, the chainlink UI get moved further down to avoid collision with kill and point notification, and further tweaked the ongoing development of their new system where literally every individual icon's visibility on the HUD can be altered. This means that like the names of enemy players, the Doritos, the reviving icons, all these things can actually be changed in their visibility, and some of them can also be scaled, so this is a pretty neat change to BF4. Also, they've made some changes to the player's movement. Now, the third-person crouch animation actually starts quicker as of right now. Now, this should try to avoid getting killed behind cover. When your screen basically you're already ducked down, whereas on the screen of the enemy you're still standing straight up. and this they achieved by just increasing the start of the animation in third person. So basically enemy players will see you crouching down quicker, making them not able to shoot at you as long as they can still in BF4 vanilla. Also, the top speed of certain guns, such as handguns, has been increased. Now this basically means if you've got like your Magnum out, you can run faster than when you have your assault rifle out. And also pretty important, the acceleration from standing still to sprinting has been increased as well. Overall, this means that the game feels a lot faster and also less clunky. And if you compare the two versions, let's just take a look at vanilla BF4 first. And now in the CTE, you can see a massive improvement to the speed of side-to-side strafing. Now another much needed change has been brought to the grenades department. The capacities have actually been reduced from RGOs from 2 to 1, as well as for V40 grenades from 3 to 2. Also again, the inner blast radius has been decreased for those grenades. Moreover, the pickup timer from ammo boxes has been majorly increased. That means that when you go up to an ammo box and you're trying to replenish your grenades, it's gonna take a lot longer than it used to. Furthermore, of course, there are an abundance of small tweaks like decreasing the rate of ticker bleeding by 40% in a chainlink game mode, yet again a much desired change since games were just over too fast. Also, multiple collision issues in cover assets have been fixed, meaning when you shoot at an enemy behind some destroyed piece of cover, your bullets will simply land in the invisible wall. This has been fixed on a couple of maps. And there has been a number more changes, however it would simply take too long to talk about everything in one single video. Now I will post all the changes from patch number 13 and 12 in the description below, so you guys can actually check it out yourself. Also very important, if you do have premium and you do want to join the CTE, there will also be a link to sign up below. Now finally I'd like to talk about what most of you interest at this point. And that is, when will all those changes finally make it into the vanilla BF4 game? Well, I'm pretty sure that the revive triage system, where you can see how long a fallen teammate has on his revive timer before he's in a non-revivable state anymore, will come to the normal game very, very soon. This feature has been implemented a couple of patches ago, and they've basically just tweaked this feature and made it perfect, and I think now it's in a state where you can actually release it to the public. However, a lot of other changes like the visual recoil system and the HUD triage system are still in development, and there's literally no point in pushing those changes to the full game just yet, before they have been fully tested and improved. Now really no one wants those quick hotfixes after each individual patch. In my opinion, those days are thankfully finally gone. But this has been it for today's video, folks. Now for anybody with premium, once again, please go and fill up those CTE servers. The devs definitely can't improve the game without anybody testing, so just join the CTE servers, download the game, the CTE client rather, and play. Also, of course, leave your suggestions and thought about the CTE below, and make sure to leave a like as it helps me out tons. But all I'm left for now is to say thank you guys for watching, have a wonderful day, and until the next one, cheers!